really need to get a good, solid understanding of the overall business and the furniture segment. So I need to understand how the overall Superstore business is doing. I need to understand how my segment, furniture, is doing. I need to understand what my first steps as a category manager are going to be. And ultimately, I'd like to present my findings with my team and with my management. Superstore is a pretty typical organization, so a lot of our data is in Excel. I'm going to start my analysis using data I've got in a spreadsheet. Now that I've connected to data, I'm ready to get started. The great thing about Tableau is you don't need to worry about the user interface. Just double-click on the data elements you want, or grab them and drag them to where you want them to be. We call this keeping the user in their flow. As a new category manager, I want to analyze sales by category. Let's drill down to subcategory. It's a little hard to read like that, and I want to make sure it's sorted. So I've been focused on my question, and Tableau figured out that furniture sales seem to be strong, with chairs leading the way there. So although I've got a good picture of our sales, I know that profit is what keeps us in business, so I'll need to include profit in my overall analysis. It is clear that tables are not profitable, and I'm selling lots of them, so that's not good. It's also clear Tableau has helped me stay in my flow here. I didn't have to think about how to best visualize the profit information. Tableau made the decision for me based on best practices for visualizing the data types I wanted to explore. For example, it saw that the domain of my profit field included both positive and negative values, so it defaulted to representing those values with a diverging red and green color gradient. I'm not really sure what chart I want to use, but Tableau can help me. Notice how Show Me will allow me to quickly iterate through a number of visual suggestions, using defaults based on research around visual best practices for different data types. I can try different things out, and I can just undo my way back to where I want to be. So our user testing actually has shown us that undo is the most frequently used feature in Tableau. And this is a great thing because it lets us know that users are exploring their data. They're experimenting with different views and coming back to branch off in other directions. They're basically having a conversation with their data. So I can see that office supplies, like many kinds of data, have a number of smaller categories that could be consolidated into a larger group, so I can stay focused on the bigger picture. Grouping them together allows me to kind of see their impact in aggregate without getting overly bogged down in detail. It's important to understand that I haven't changed the underlying data. The original subcategories are still there, and I've been able to create these groups with just a few clicks. No complicated calculations or data transformation needed. All right, so we can see that there's a problem in tables here because they're bright red. Let's dig into this a bit more and see if there are any regional patterns here. There are a few trouble areas, but APAC has the lowest profit and the highest sales, so I'm going to need to dig into that. I like how this visual representation has allowed me to identify an area that really needs my attention immediately. But I also know that our CFO is a real numbers guy, and he's going to want to see this as a numbers table as well, so I'll make sure to provide that format for him. I can still drag and drop my fields around to get them in a more consumable format, and even add some color to immediately highlight what the CFO needs to know about. So let's focus on the problem area, tables in APAC. Maybe I'll be able to get a clearer picture of our problem areas if I analyze individual products. I'm sure my supervisor would be interested in seeing a complete list of all transactions involving our biggest seller here. It'd be useful to know whether this is a trend in the orders or whether there's a single, extremely unprofitable outlier dragging us down. At this point, I have a list of unprofitable transactions that I can export and share with our product and logistics team to create some action. It's my first action item as a category manager. So you've seen how easily you can do some basic analysis of data without having to engage IT or otherwise wait on someone else for data or guidance about what to do with it. Now, I want to look at data across locations to uncover some more insights. I know I need to look at my Superstore data by country, and I want to see it on a map to look for geographic trends. So let's open a new worksheet for this. You'll notice a little globe symbol next to country. This means Tableau automatically sees geographic information in these fields. So no special processing of our data is required, and we didn't have to find our own latitude and longitude data. Tableau does this on the fly. We recognize countries, provinces, states, cities, zip codes, etc. Right now, the map tells me that we've done business in these countries. But how much business? How much profit have we generated in each country? Overall, looks like we're doing pretty well globally. But I know that I have some issues with tables in APAC, so I'll focus on that market only. I want to know more. I'd like to understand both our sales and our profitability within each city. We can see pretty clearly Australia is a sales and profit leader. The Philippines look interesting to me though. I know our competitors are looking to open there, and I'd like to stay ahead of them. At the same time, we seem to have our profitability problems in the Philippines. So this will be great information for me to include in my report back to my colleagues. So I've got a good idea of which products are troublesome, and I know where some of these troubles exist. But is the profitability issue recent? Can I expect it to persist into the future? Well, I'll take a look at my sales history and see if it can help me make any predictions about the future. So this just saved me a lot of work, that click right here. It's automatically summed up sales by year, and it changed the viz to a line chart because we're now looking at trend data, and line charts are the best visualization type for this. Tableau automatically understands time and automatically lets me analyze by these intervals. We don't have to do any macros, no scripting, no extra date fields needed. I actually need more detail than yearly sales results, so let's add quarter and month. Monthly is enough detail. I can get all of this date information from using a single date field written in the conventional month, day, year format. Tableau takes care of the rest. A key aspect of working with Tableau is that I can reorient my data in a fluid and natural way. This flexibility allows me to spot insights I might not have otherwise caught. For example, this view gives me some interesting information about my 2014 sales. While the year started off strong, sales only barely kept pace with the previous year's numbers until the end of Q2, but then we finished really strong, well surpassing the numbers for all of my previous years. I don't need to run a wizard every single time I want to see it differently. I'm free to play with the data, moving it around fluidly and discovering new insights as I go. Let me get back to my analysis. To put these sales figures into context, I'd like to look at my year-over-year growth. There's no need to write a calculation or a complex formula. This analysis was just a couple of clicks away. It looks like we had some variability. I can see points where my year-over-year was actually negative. So what I'd like to do now is look into the future a bit. What can Tableau tell me about future sales? Well, now I can see an indication of where sales might land during each of the next 12 months. I'd also like to see a quick summarization of this historical and trend data. Now I can see that my typical month sales have been steadily increasing since 2012 and are forecasted to keep growing through the end of 2015 as well. I know that in the past 6 months, we've made some significant changes to our marketing, so I wonder how our average sales for the past few months compares to the average for the year. So far, we've been using Tableau's built-in best practices to create our visualizations, but we can also customize our visualization type. As you can see, time analysis in Tableau is fast, simple, and it doesn't require me to write macros or code. So far in my analysis, I've looked at revenue and profit as functions of category, location, and time. Now I want to examine profit as it relates to costs. Here I can see our total profit, as well as how each category contributes to this overall number. The challenge is that my cost information is in a different database. Fortunately, Tableau will let me blend these two databases together on the fly. So my cost information resides in a report that I get on a regular basis from another department. It is pre-formatted, it's pre-aggregated, Notice we got some header rows here and the fact that category is a merged cell. So while this spreadsheet has been designed to be processed by the human eye, it's a bit too processed for Tableau, which prefers to work with raw data. Luckily, Tableau can help me get it back into a format it can parse. Initially, Tableau reads this spreadsheet literally, beginning with cell F1. But with just one click, I can have Tableau find the data that I need to analyze. Notice this data interpreter here? We'll just go ahead and turn that on. Now, notice that the category column is filled in, the null values are gone. But there's still one more issue I need to address. It's not going to work for me to have a separate column for each month. That's just going to get in the way of me looking at sales flexibly over time. I need to have just one column with my cost data and one column with all the months. So compare this with what we just saw in Excel. We've taken care of all the formatting that stood between us and our data. Now we're free to utilize the data any way we want, not just the way it was aggregated in that Excel report. First, I want to drag the cost measure onto the viz to produce a scatter plot, giving me a high-level overview of the relationship between profits on the x-axis and costs on the y-axis. I want some more detail though. Earlier we saw there were some regional profit issues, so let's break this down by state. Finally, I want to do a little bit of formatting. So we've been working for about 15 minutes, and if we look back, we've achieved pretty considerable insight into our business, looking at our data across time, location, and multiple metrics. Now, we've done our analysis, and I want to be able to present my findings and share them with others in my organization. Dashboards and storytelling are a great way to share the results and analysis. So let's build out story around our findings. So first, I need to create a dashboard. Then I need to include the key elements of the story that I want to tell. Now, I'd like to do just a quick bit of formatting. Let's have a look at that market quick filter. Notice that when I make changes here, it only changes the worksheet that it was tied to, which is the map in this case. I'd like to make sure that the entire dashboard reflects my selection. And with just a quick selection, my filter now applies everywhere. In addition to interacting with drop-down filters like this, I can also use the worksheets themselves as filters. For example, I'd like to analyze the sales trends for a selection of cities in the APAC region. Now you can see how Tableau is allowing me to analyze the sales, costs, and profit of these selected cities. Using traditional tools and methods, this takes, quite a bit of experience programming to accomplish. But here, in a matter of minutes, we've created basically an interactive sales analysis app. So now I've created a compelling, interactive analysis that shows my findings. Now I want to share it with my colleagues. So I'm going to publish this to Tableau server so that others can view it and interact with the dashboard. I want everyone on the server to be able to see my analysis. I don't want to share